Hi guys, welcome to my arms room. I wish. So I posted some stuff on social media about Hat Creek and people were like, dude, that place looks awesome. Show us some more. So this is Brian Morgan, the owner. I've known you for a while. So we knew Brian owned a facility in Florida, and I brought my team down there as a team sergeant, and we did a bunch of shooting. And Brian didn't really charge us, but it's no more. Phenomenal shooter, very accomplished, competitive shooter.
Correct.
Has really set up a facility here that's state of the art, nothing like it. And we're going to do a podcast on Friday, and we're both chatty fuckers, so it's going to be a long one. But you were getting ready here, and I was like, hey, let's do a little bit of content. We're getting ready for a night shoot with these Army Special Operations guys. Just let's do a little walk around your arms room here and talk about a couple of things that you because you've used every piece of kit that's out there, military and civilian, and you have a knowledge base in that stuff that very few people get. You know what I mean? Because this is your life. Like this is what you do every single day. How many years have you been running here?
7 years here in Idaho.
How many classes have you taken off?
We do.
One?
So we got. Oh yeah. One class, and but yeah, we do. This year we're booked out. Pretty well, solid. We got 60 teams on the books for this year. Which is insane, and the. You know, I think my job's a little bit easier. Missy's job is a lot harder. She does all the cooking and whatnot. But we get a lot of different groups in with a lot of different equipment and a lot of different need as far as training goes. And
the template here, right, of the students sleep here, they eat here, they hang out here. You didn't have that template in Florida, did you? We did stay in Florida, but it wasn't as set up as well.
No, it wasn't set up the same way. This here, because we are kind of out in the middle of nowhere to some degree, and it's a pretty large area that we cover, and so it's a lot easier to have the guys stay on site. You got laundry facility, exercise facility, you got a lot of targets and whatnot. So I was fortunate to be able to travel with a lot of teams back in the day as like an SME to go out and do some training. And so we went to some really cool places to train, but it's a different going to a cool place and a place that is like specifically designed for training. And this, so I'm a shooter, so I get bored pretty easily. So I put targets everywhere I think I want to put a target at. And because of that, you end up with a lot of targets everywhere.
Like 500 targets.
Right. And the goal is for me is to get there quickly because we got to maximize. The average team we have in here for a week. We've done some 2 and 3 and 4 week stuff, but on average it's a 5-week course or a 5-day course, and the goal is to not waste any time. The goal is to get them in here, see as much as they can see in that 5 days, and be on the range as much as possible.
I was talking to some of the students out there, and they're like, this is amazing. They're all fairly young guys in the military, and we're like, this is amazing. And very relaxed atmosphere. They get them away from the military kind of
the flagpole,
the flagpole type stuff. But the community thing here and being able, like we're running a night shoot 10 feet outside the backyard here because you're surrounded with mountains. It's phenomenal. But
the family environment is something that we always push for, just because I think it's a good environment for learning. You've seen it, a lot of egos, a lot of different things and everything else. And what we try to create here is like, lower that down, have that comfort level here, and create an environment that is inviting to questions and remove all the intimidation. We're all students.
We learn every time we teach. We learn ourselves every single time because to me, like I say, there's no experts out there because an expert to me is somebody who has nothing left to learn, and you learn every time you pull that freaking trigger.
We get humbled quite a bit out here.
And
okay.
I love to see, like, these guys are really good. These students are impressive. I was like, man, like I've been out for a couple of years, but the standard has definitely been raised by guys like you because if you're in the military, if you're law enforcement and you just recycle the same training all the time, you're really cheating yourself. You need to bring in outside people because they look at things differently.
And we tell we have a lot of guys that like they book year after year or whatever. I'm like, hey guys, go somewhere else. Because it's important. I know with me, I feel like I've learned a lot by being in front of a lot of different people. And so it's the same thing. I want the same for them. And so we're driven to make sure that they get the best training because what their job's important. And the last thing we want to do is have them lose an opportunity to learn from someone else.
You're a really patriotic guy, and these guys are going in harm's way, right? And that's a huge responsibility to train them for that. And you're making their life expectancy a lot greater because they're just so much more capable.
Well, you know as well as I do, like, and you know more so than me as far as like the training, the deficit in the training. You know, I mean, there's always a push for equipment. Like we're in this arms room, got a whole bunch of stuff in here, a lot of different stuff. And there's a big push for new equipment, but there's not as much push for sometimes for the training side. And we get teams in here with new equipment, but they don't know how to utilize it. You know, and so it's a good opportunity for them to get out and check it out.
The biggest gap really is training, and you know we try. I think it's human nature, but the military is bad for it. We try to overcome training with new equipment. And new equipment does not reduce the training requirement. It actually adds to it. It adds to it, you know. Let's do it, because we're going to do a podcast on Friday and talk about all this. Send me your questions for Brian. Brian's an expert, knows more about this stuff than I'll ever know. Send me your ballistics questions, your optics questions, your caliber questions, your night sight questions. Send them all, and I'll try to get them all in on the podcast and talk to Brian if we don't run out of batteries, because we're both pretty good talkers, right?
Yeah, we do.
Do a quick 360 around here for me, and just talk about stuff that you really like, and you know you've really come. This is my go-to gun, stuff like that.
Yeah. So we get a lot of different guys in different systems. We make sure here. So, and I'm just one guy here. So Hat Creek's a lot bigger than me. Like we got a lot of really good instructors. But one of the requirements is whatever the guys are coming in with, we're going to shoot whatever they're shooting, right? So a lot of that is like if they're shooting, this particular system, we need that system here to train on. And so that way we can kind of help them solve through their own problems, because I'm shooting on a whole different system, a whole different cartridge. Then that's not equivalent to what they're struggling with. So we got to, it's got to be apples to apples.
And you become an expert in their system too, and you can help them with stuff.
And because we get to spend more time on it week after week, where they've got 10 other plates spinning, we get to focus on one thing, which is just this stuff, right? So when they come in, we can kind of abbreviate that learning curve for them a little bit by showing them, how it works and whatnot pretty quick.
It's funny, like you can do this stuff like me for decades, and then a guy like you says, well, you can do it this way, and you're like, how did I not think of that?
But it's just because you're looking at it for so long, you find different ways to do it. But the gun-wise in here, we got a lot of bolt guns, a lot of gas guns, and as far as the night vision stuff goes, you got thermals now. Thermals add another dynamic to it as far as when you can see things, when you can't see things, but it also makes it harder. So when we get into communication, communication is much more critical with the thermal than it is with the I-square type units, because you could just throw a laser out there. Well, now we're going to more passive, different ways, and so now you're looking through, basically a straw with thermal, and you're trying to talk a guy onto a very specific location.
So you're kind of speaking two languages.
Exactly.
What's this here?
So that's it's called a Voodoo M. So that's Pixels on Target. They've got some of those out. Really good unit. It's a non-cooled unit that does really well. And so we'll run it tonight.
Are these available for civilians?
I believe so. I'd have to double check.
Who makes this?
A company called Pixels on Target. Kind of new to the scene, but very patriotic company that just like, hey, we can make this stuff. A lot of knowledge, and it is amazing how quickly they came out with a product from nothing. Right. So they're new to the kind of the world there, but they're already getting selected by certain groups. And so shaking some of that stuff out, seeing what's going on with them.
This is long wave infrared, which is cool, uncooled thermals.
Correct.
Not as powerful as the cool stuff. The cool stuff's much bigger.
A lot bigger, chews up a lot more batteries.
Makes a little bit of noise.
And they make smaller ones of these, and they make some other stuff. So it's just one particular unit. Probably similar to like the Paz or something like that back in the day, right? So you've got that. Obviously, some 31s over there on the helmet just for walking around tonight. When we start throwing things on the guns at night, we'll be on thermal tonight mostly. So it's going to be inods and hisses. So we'll run those, and those are cooled thermals.
They're phenomenal.
Yeah. So it really advances the capability at night. However, the struggle gets into it's another piece of equipment that you got to understand. And so buttonology and that kind of stuff.
And you got to understand the limitations of it too, because there are some limitations, but we don't talk about it. Tell me with this system right here, Seekins.
Yeah, so that's a Seekins. That's a little bit of a prototype there. That's in a different cartridge configuration we won't really get into too much, but it's a smaller, shorter gun. A lot of times at nighttime, the engagements are shorter, so you don't need the crazy long stuff, right? But we'll take this out tonight to 1,000 meters. We got a thermal lane that goes out to 1250 or so. But we'll run this out to 1,000 meters with that small unit there, and it'll do
And
pretty
that,
well.
that 1 to 6, is that a
Yep.
1 to 6, 1 to
That's
10?
1 to 10.
1 to 10,
Yeah.
yeah. Who makes this can?
So that's a Thunder Beast can, a little 5-inch on that platform. That's all it needs, and it's still pretty quiet.
These bipods?
Yeah,
come around
MDT.
here.
Yeah, MDT bipods. We've been running MDT pretty much exclusive for a lot of years. So MDT, basically, they're they are really good about picking up some of the best products on the market and adding it to their lineup. Sky Thomas was the guy that developed this bipod years ago. Great bipod. You've seen what we're doing this week.
Yeah.
You know, we got Magnum cartridges running these, you know, really banging these bipods up and everything else. And so most of them here on the wall, you know, there's 6, 7, 8-year-old bipods and haven't broken. Right?
I love the Harris bipod. I used it for years. I've broken a couple of them.
Yeah.
But when you really, like, if a bipod is just a pair of legs you use in the front, you're really not getting the value from them, right? And the stuff we covered this week, we're utilizing these products to the max advantage for every shot, is a whole new line of teaching.
It just simplifies things.
Yeah.
You know, the position's already hard out here in the mountain.
Yeah.
So anytime you can have a piece of equipment, just one piece, they're expensive, but I look at their value added expenses, right? It starts to make sense.
Make up for the cost of all the missed shots you get with the other ones,
it lets
right?
you build a position you wouldn't build normally without a tripod.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a double pull, really good system.
I think the civilian shooting market has advanced a lot of military equipment now. From the PRS world.
Yeah, this came from competition world and then slowly developed. They've got this is a double pull. They've got triple pulls on the wall here, like some of these big ones. So you can get into some pretty unique positions with them. Really good piece of equipment. If they broke all the time, I wouldn't run them.
Yeah.
Right. So you know they are expensive, but you know some of those things, you know, buy once, cry once, get what you know. You want to make sure it's something that's quality.
Yeah.
And we've had really good luck with them so far. I'm really happy with the versatility of them.
You know, that's got that old wall there.
Ah, dude,
Is
that
old Mac
Mac
10.
10.
Mac 10 with the splash on. That's some Chuck Norris shit right there.
Yeah, that's some old stuff.
Love it.
Yeah, you got a lot of Seekins, you got a lot of the JP stuff in here. You know, you got some of my old comp guns from back in the day from J Precision.
Got a couple of 50 cals up here.
Yeah, I got a 50, you got a 416 Barrett up there. You've got the new ASR system from Barrett. So we got those in 300 Normas and different ones. Those right there, in particular, are MRAD versions of that. And then in the truck that we're going to be shooting tonight, those are all the ASRs. And you know, really, really good gun. We're looking to see, you know, we've had those now for about 2 years. So we're going to keep putting a lot of rounds on them and see the weaknesses and the strengths, because it helps the guys,
absolutely,
you know, learn about that, right?
It does, yeah.
We got the Seekins, you got a lot of the M series on their 308 and the 260 platform, and then obviously we got Axie International. I've been shooting Axie International. The first Axie International I got was, I think, was 1992.
Me too.
We were talking about that. So those guns, we got some prototypes over there, some their ASR submission rifle, and then a lot of that equipment, Night Force, Vortex. We got a lot of that stuff. We try to use optic wise. A lot of guys, we're not. Me and you talked about this. We don't link with any particular company. We use what the guys are using. Currently, Night Force has the majority of the SOCOM contracts on scopes. So if those guys are coming in, we want to run those scopes because we can see the weaknesses, the strengths, and teach the guys on those. So, you know, but we're the first to, you know, if there's an issue, we're going to bring it up.
Yeah, and those industry guys are usually pretty good at listening to guys like you, right? And going, hey, there's a problem with here, because it's making the product better.
Yeah, and you know, you look at the miles on the turret we spend this week, or the amount of rounds on it. An average week for us with a student in is 800 to 1,000 rounds, and that's Magnum, that's 308s, it's 260s, that's whatever. So that's a lot of rounds. And so the majority of these guns in here, we go through, just about every gun in here goes through a barrel every couple of months. Me and Travis were just talking today with our training schedule. He just ordered some new 308 barrels for his for his training gun, and he's like, it should last me, you know, this year or whatever. I'm like, no, it's going to last you like 8 classes.
Really?
Right.
A 308?
Yeah.
A lot of it's rate of fire.
Rate of fire. You see the, you know, so we're gonna he'll burn 8 you know, 8,000 to 10,000 rounds
Yeah.
in 8 to 10
Yeah.
classes,
Yeah.
and at the way we run them,
Yeah.
you know, we're a little bit abusive.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that we maximize the training time that we have with the guys.
Yeah.
So we don't want to wait around and let a barrel cool.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we can go ahead and demo and keep shooting, so we're a little more, you know, abusive on them if we have to be. But we need to maximize that time.
So we're bro chatty. So let's not get the whole podcast on here. I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you one question, right?
Okay.
I have my own opinion, but cleaning regimen for let's for a long range gun, for a 300 Win Mag, 300 Norma, something big long range. What's your cleaning regimen?
So
generally?
300 Win Mag would be one way. 300 Norma is going to be a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
300 Norma is definitely a hot rod of a cartridge. You know, I'm the worst person to ask about cleaning because we're just cycling over and over, and I'm
Yeah.
like, look, I'll
You
just
have
put
time.
another barrel on it, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, a 300 Norma, you're probably going to start doing a pretty good deep clean on it in 150 to 200 rounds.
Okay.
And just because, you know, you're running at 3,000 feet per second, big
Yeah.
bullet going down
Yeah.
range, and
Yeah.
it's just we're starting to see some things like, you know, primers popping, those kind of things. So you need to kind of stay on top of that schedule. 300 Win Mag, you've seen what we've done with it this week. I'm 600 rounds in on my 300 Win Mag already this week, and you know, we're not cleaning at all.
Yeah.
So we'll be a little more abusive on it. 308, you know, you can kind of, you know, run it pretty hard. But yeah, the higher performance cartridges like stay up on. I used to not be that way.
Yeah.
Competition world, you know, you would almost like, well, I'm going to just replace the barrel pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it too much. My cleaning regimen on like 6mm and those kind of things is about every 3 to 350 rounds.
Yeah.
And it was more dictated by match to match to match.
Yeah.
Where.
But if there's more downside than just I wear my barrel light quicker, if you're popping primers
No,
in competition or
that's a
combat,
malfunction.
then that's a malfunction,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's a big deal. Is that a sign to you that I need to change my barrel soon if I start popping primers?
No, not necessarily.
I
Like,
just need to clean it.
Yeah. Like this week, we started on Monday, had a lot of rain and
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
And, you know, even we had a hot lot of 300 Win Mag.
Yeah.
And so I was popping primers on my 300 Win Mag on Monday.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but, you know, that you always want to load test that stuff and just see what it does in the weather and what, you know, the type of weather you're going to be shooting in. But, you know, I could probably clean my 300 and make it a little bit, you know, better.
Yeah.
But you know, at the same time, I'm not trying to look for a one-hole gun when the guys coming in aren't shooting a one-hole gun.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to shoot something. We want to shoot something similar to what they're shooting.
Yeah.
Because we got to fix their problems based on
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what they're dealing with. We need to deal with the same thing.
When you really deep clean a gun, what kind of shift do you get in your zero normally?
Pretty good on a clean barrel. Yeah, it's a pretty good shift. I want to get 10, 15 rounds on a gun before
Yeah.
I call it like settled.
Yeah.
After a deep clean.
Yeah.
Right now, if I'm just patching out carbon,
Yeah.
that's a different thing, right?
Yeah.
It's going to settle pretty quick. But if I'm talking like stripping out the copper on that thing, then yeah, we're gonna get 10, 15 rounds into it. Usually, what dictates to me if a barrel is shot out, velocity's one way, right? You can look at that if it's slowing down pretty rapidly. The other way is if you clean it and it shoots really good for about 5 or 8 rounds, and then it starts to open up. You've probably got some fire cracking, just off the front of that chamber.
Yeah.
And it's just building up too much copper on that. And it's just
Okay.
going out pretty quick. So at that point, you're not going to be able to probably bring it back to life.
Okay. Guys, look, Brian is a freaking expert in this stuff. Send me your questions, please, and we'll dig into it. Tap into this knowledge base here while we have the chance. And it's going to be a good podcast, man. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah,
Let's
thank
go
you.
night shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.